Hey, remember when talk of chipping people was a conspiracy theory? And do you remember the rule about the conspiracy theories these days? Yeah, we need to talk about this one. Let's talk in a minute. Well, welcome back. I just really wanted to bring this to your attention. Some of you may have already seen these articles regarding chipping. I know that many of us have been talking about chipping and the fears of that for a long time. And of course, we're always called conspiracy theorists. And I guess back in the day I could kind of understand that, but here we are, and the rule these days are, I don't know, give it 6 months or so before a conspiracy theory becomes reality. I think that time frame is shrinking a bit, but I did want to bring a couple articles to your attention. So let me go ahead and share my screen with you. And first of all, let's visit our fun friend, Mr. Gates. This is an article from back in March of 2020, and I remember reading this when it first came out, and it just all me and my friends who have been just waiting for something like this to happen. We had been waiting for it to come about, and there it was, digital certificates. And so, of course, we were called crazy back then, saying it wasn't about chipping or any kind of thing like that. And actually, in this article, it really doesn't talk about chipping, but it does, just again show you how much Bill Gates has his business all up in, not necessarily chipping people per se, but these digital certificates, getting everybody jabbed as quickly and as often as possible. And so yeah, he kind of started this story off for me. It was when I first saw this story back in March of 2020. I was really thinking, holy crap, it's really coming. We're really going to be chipped. Or they're going to try to chip us, because of course I won't be chipped. So yeah, this article from News Punch, it's talking about, how the world has changes. The world as we know it will change forever in the wake of the coronavirus pandemic, according to Bill Gates, who declared that we will soon have digital certificates to display our health and vaccination status. Responding to a question during a Reddit Ask Me Anything session, Gates pointed to major changes for ordinary people that could have privacy and civil rights implications. Interesting. I wonder what those might be. He also said, eventually we will have some digital certificates to show who has recovered or been tested recently, or when we have a vaccine, who has received it. Okay. Gates also called for a national tracking system, saying that in Seattle, the University of Washington is providing thousands of tests per day, but no one is connected to a national tracking system, and that whenever there is a positive test, it should be seen to understand where the disease is and whether we need to strengthen the social distancing. Well, I think we've kind of seen how that's worked out. So it's kind of an interesting look backwards at what the thinking was. I really thought that they were going to mandate the tracking on our cell phones, and I'd seen that the app had been put in there in the Google App section of pretty much all cell phones. It just, you had a choice whether to activate it or not. So I will say, conspiracy theory wise, I'm shocked that hadn't happened. But hey, give it time, I suppose. And so, talking about what is a digital certificate, Gates believed that the public would be accepting. Gates clearly believes the public will accept being branded with digital certificates as easily as they accepted barcodes on consumer items. What do you think about that sentence? I mean, barcodes on consumer items are completely different than having digital health certificates and things like that, which it's just fascinating. Anyway, so according to IBM, by the way, IBM is a company, if you want to really dig into some grubby stuff going on, IBM's a good one to look into. So according to IBM, a digital certificate is an electronic document that is used to identify an individual, a server, a company, or some other entity, and to associate that identity with a public key. Like a driver's license, a passport, a student ID card, a library card, or other commonly used personal IDs, a certificate provides generally recognized proof of a person's identity, or in this case, a person's health and vaccination status. Well, gee, I thought asking people for their ID was racist nowadays, so that's fascinating. That is an interesting thing, actually. A lot of the people who are kind of down with this whole digital health certificate business are also people that are, very quick and more than happy to call you a racist if you believe in, having to show an ID to vote or something like that. So, anyway. But all of these things raise serious questions. What will happen to people who do not trust Bill Gates enough to accept a digital certificate? And what will happen to those who refuse to be vaccinated? Well, that's kind of still, the jury's still out on that, isn't it? I mean, we're almost 2 years after the writing of this article, and we really haven't come that far. And the ways we have come far are not very good. So, while Gates has not elaborated on what his plan entails, or whether a digital certificate will be implanted in the human body, many people are concerned that the certificate could represent the mark of the beast warned about in the Bible. All right. So be implanted in the human body. Now, this is the part, when I brought this up, or still do from time to time, people think it's just insane and nobody would do it, and that's not even really a thing, and all that kind of stuff. But just give me a minute. So, branding human cattle. According to Gates, people shouldn't be concerned about Big Brother invading our privacy and tracking us and our children. This technology will only be used for safety and convenience, he says. And the technology is nothing more than an upgrade on traditional cattle branding. The only catch is that you won't know exactly what is being put into your digital certificate. You also won't know who will have access to the data. And if history repeats itself, it will go from being technology adopted for its convenience and safety, and then overnight will become mandatory for you and your family. Or else. That's interesting. Well, I'm glad that, I feel much better with Gates saying that, it's just an upgrade to traditional cattle branding. Some might say I'm jumping to conclusions, but I mean, that to me just solidifies what I already knew, that they kind of just think about us as cattle. So, useless eaters. Anyway, so we're wondering back then, could it possibly be something that would be implanted into your body? Well, let's read this one. Let's read this article from the Western Journal. And this was just published on January the 17th. Actually, that's not true. That is today. It was published on January the 3rd, so still not that long ago, but I knew it wasn't published today. I've been reading on this for a little while. So anyway, vaccine microchip developer says there's no stopping this technology, whether we like it or not. So what is this technology? Let's read. Actually, I'm going to make this a little bit larger and drown out some of these ads over here. Yeah, let's just do it. That's close enough. Okay. A technology company that markets microchips believes that its invention is just the thing to serve as a way to document a person's coronavirus vaccination status. The Swedish startup Dsruptive Subdermals is touting its microchip, which measures 2 millimeters by 16 millimeters, and is injected under the skin, according to the Express. I'm gonna mess up his name. I learned it yesterday. Hans Schlabad. managing director of the company, said critics of the technology failed to understand that it can be put to good use. And of course, all technologies usually have some form of good use. It's just, is it worth it? I don't know. This technology exists and is used whether we like it or not, he said. I am happy that it is brought into public conversation. New technologies must be broadly debated and understood. Smart implants are a powerful health technology, he said. And that is what we are building at Dsruptive, and our goal is to transform healthcare on a global scale. Microchips are often implanted in pets to help find them if they're lost. The ones Dsruptive says can be used for COVID-19 passport purposes work in tandem with a cell phone to show vaccination status. All right, I don't. Yeah, this is where it gets creepy for me. This means it's always accessible for me or anyone else, really, who wants to read me. Somebody wants to read you. For example, if I go to the movies or to a shopping center, and then people will be able to check my status even if I don't have my phone, he said. He said the type of microchip he is talking about is not a tracking device. Oh, good. Then, all right. I'm not sure I believe it. I want to go back for a second. So, it's accessible for me or anyone else who wants to read me. So, does that mean that there's like an app or something and they just like shine their phone at your chip and then it reads all your info? Like, what? People will be able to check my status even if I don't have my phone. So, I don't know. It's creepy to me. It's just plain creepy. If you understand how these implants work, they don't have a battery. They cannot transmit a signal by themselves, so they're basically passive. They sit there asleep. They can never tell your location. They're only activated when you touch them with your smartphone. So this means they cannot be used for tracking anyone's location. I mean, okay, but I'm not sure how that's an actual description or defense of how they don't track. I mean, I'm not pretending to understand the technology fully, but still, regardless, you still have a chip in you. I mean, regardless, people can read you as they go by. Let's see. Yeah, the company website said that it's in the business of using the technology to improve lives, not track them. Dsruptive does not sell or design implants specifically for COVID certificates. Implants can be used for many things, and one of them is that the user of a chip can add any information they want to the device. This can be, for example, links to websites, a V-card, or a link to a COVID certificate. Dsruptive has no control over insight into what the users of our tech put on their devices. So, and there's a little doodad right there. They can put that underneath your skin. And then they just it does say that they're convinced that it represents a new paradigm in healthcare. And I mean, I have read some good uses of it, with monitoring certain things and whatnot, but, I mean, there shouldn't ever be a reason to give your vaccine status, especially now after all the information. And of course, if you haven't seen it, I'm not sure where you've been, but all the information about the efficacy of these vaccines and the boosters and all that kind of stuff, especially after Omicron. And I don't even know why we'd even need to have a reason to give somebody, our vaccine status. So I think that's my biggest issue with it. Not so much that implants don't have, some beneficial purposes. I'm sure that they do, monitoring different levels in the body for different people suffering from different ailments or what have you, or medication levels or what have I get that, but why they're even tied into a discussion about vaccine passports is probably my biggest issue. And I did bookmark a couple other. I don't know why they put this chip here. This chip is about the same guy, the same company, basically the same information, but they put the that's not what the chip even looks like. Oh, I had pulled up this article because it was just talking about some people's reactions, I guess, to a presentation that this gentleman had done regarding the chip. And yeah, here he says, yeah, the chip's design allows for always accessible information by anyone else really who wants to read me. So there's that statement again. Commenters at Express, I guess that's the conference that he was presenting at, gave an almost resounding no to the technology, saying they would never allow it inside their own bodies, no matter how passive it supposedly is. So I agree with that. That's why I pulled this up, just to show that there is some hope. Not everybody's down with it, but people in Sweden are pretty down with it. So this comment, didn't this also happen in 1939 in Europe with a tattoo gun? I mean, I don't know, it might seem hyperbolic at the time, but we know that these things kind of prove out. I think this is a Swedish, yeah, Sweden. These people not everybody, but people in certain companies in Sweden, they're definitely embracing this whole getting microchipped, because then it's for convenience. They can walk into their house just by waving their arm. They don't have to have a key, or they go into their office, or they log into stuff, or they do banking, or they use their grocery card right from their hand. And yeah, I'm not down with that. So, that's a different article that I'm going to cover in a little bit about my lovely state of Utah. So anyway, I just kind of wanted to bring you a little discussion, a couple articles, point it out to you. As conspiracy theories, my chair just moved. That was really weird. Us conspiracy theorists, we being proven less conspiratorial every day. In fact, it feels like what's being put out there as truth is way more conspiratorial than anything I could ever hope to make up. So I'm curious, what are your thoughts about that? Would you ever allow a chip into you, whether it was for a vaccine, passport or not? I mean, there could definitely be some strong conveniences there. What do you think? Would you go for that, or not so much? Would it be worth it to you? To me personally, I think not. But anyway, you can always go check out the Dsruptive. I don't know if it's Dsruptive.com or what have you. Go check out their website. They've got some videos if you wanted to learn more about it. But I'm pretty much a hard no on it all. So anyway. All right. I hope you all have a great day, and we'll talk to you again soon.